Okay, the next part is going to be to add the front gown skirt to the bodice. So this is what I did. I went ahead and finished that other side seam. I did a couple tacks right here on the facing to the top of that sleeve, and I just did that to tack it down so I can get it out of the way. Now this is what I'm talking about as far as this not being even here in front, this one front piece. It's the same on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim that down a little bit so that when I add that skirt bottom, I won't have such a lopsided. So I'm just going to trim it a little bit. You see, I just trimmed it. Okay, so now when I put that next piece on there, it won't be so hard to match up those seams. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to follow the curvature of that and just trim it down a little bit. You know, your seams may match up evenly, but I kind of think it's the pattern. I don't think it's, oh, I shouldn't say that. But, you know, if this happens to you like it did to me, just trim it down so it's closer so that when you do add the skirt on, it's not going to be so out of whack. Okay, so let's see that looks good. So we can match this up, match this up. You might want to trim that a little bit there so it's more of a bow, but it's not going to show. Okay, so we got that done. All right, so now we're up to our last two front pieces. The only thing I did on the video was, let me move this around a little bit. The only thing I did on the video, without the video going, was I took the front two pieces, and on the instructions it says to finish off your two front edges. So all I did was I took my overlock stitch and I went down the front of each of the side front pieces so that they were finished off and they have a nice finish on them. Okay, so this is where we're at. We are at step 16, and that step 16 tells us to follow instructions 1 through 2 from the original instructions. So let's go ahead and go back to steps 1 and 2. Okay, so steps 1 and 2 on the gown are transfer all pleats to the skirt front. Bring lines together, fold pieces as indicated. Okay, so let's take our front piece. This is that one here, and take either one is fine. Let's start with the one that the pattern matches. Okay, so if you see your pleats, you got 1, 2, 3 pleats on here. So let's go ahead and take our pins. We're not doing the pockets. If you want to do the pockets, you can, and it wants you to finish these edges, but I skip those. There's no sense having pockets when there's no linings. If you want to make pockets, you can always add a lining to your pocket if you want to. Well, you know, it's personal preference. Okay, so there's one pleat going. Let's put a couple more pins in here. Now these are a little different, these pleats on the front, because it's not a flat piece of fabric. It actually has a curvature to it, which is okay because you have that curvature on the front of your bodice. So that's why they curve this one piece of fabric. I mean this pattern here. Okay, so let me get a pin in there. It doesn't want to cooperate with me. Okay, so let's pick that up so you can see what I did. Everywhere there was a pleat line, I put a pin. Okay, so let's go with pleat number 1. Pleat number 1 says to fold your pleats and go to the left. Okay, so here's my 2 pleats in the front. So I'm going to pleat it, and I am going to turn my pleat to the, let's put this again, left. So so you can see how that fabric is. To the left. That can't be right. Let's try this again. Okay, yes. There we go. Okay, so let's go to the left. Put your pins together and put the fold in the back to the left. That doesn't seem right to me. Let me get the dress. Okay, let's see. This would be this side and that pleat. Okay. Pleat to the left. I just don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so turn it, pleat it to the left. Okay, there you go. That's why the fabrics match now. See how let's try that again. I know I confused you. Let's put this down. Put our pins in. Okay, pleat to the left. Okay, so we want that to come together and we want the pleat to go that way. I'm sorry, to the left. So the front of your pleat is going to the left. So bend in that middle, put it to the left. Yeah, of course, they line right up. And that means that when you fold in the front, all your front pleats are going to be going that way. That was real simple. Couldn't figure that one out to save my life. Okay, so let's do the second one. Okay, now the last one. Okay, so there's all your pleats going to the front. This is going to be swinging around like that. There you go. You see how that's so smooth right there? That's how the front of your, with your side seam, that's how it's going to look. So let's go ahead and put these down and put them in, secure them in the location that they're in, and adjust them if you have to. Okay, so there's that. So let's go ahead and turn our, we're just tacking these down, so let's change our needle position so it's away from our sew line. So let's just go ahead and tack these pleats down. Moved around. Okay, so that is your front pleats. Alright, so now I'm going to take my pattern and I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the other side of the front. And I haven't got any marks on it yet, so let me get a pencil. And we'll go ahead and put some marks here where those pleats are going to be. Okay, so let's take the other front piece and we'll do the same thing with our pins, and maybe we'll have better luck on this side. Okay, so let's see, there's one, there's two, if you're printing this on regular copy paper, you probably can see right through your paper. You probably don't even need to mark them, but if you can't, you can take it up to a window and find your marks. Okay, so now we're in the opposite, so instead of pleating to that way, we're going to pleat this way. Okay, so put them together and pleat this way. Okay, so those two match, turn it, and then line those two up. I hope you can see this in the... Okay, see how that fabric tends to want to go that way anyway? Because that's the way it was cut. Okay, so there's one. You might want to put that down a little bit, give it a better pleat. This fabric is so thick. Okay, pleat 2, turn it to the right, put a pin in it. Okay, same thing, last one, put them together, turn that pleat to the right, and line up the top, and we have got that pleated for the right side of the front. Okay, let's go ahead and secure those pins in there and secure those seams, those pleats. Okay, now what I did on the last one, I didn't do all the pleats on the back because I wanted to fit them to the bodice. I know I did some pleats, but I didn't do them all. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like. See how many pleats we can actually do to get it to fit properly. So let's go ahead and just do this middle part here, and then we'll pick up these pleats when we get to the actual fitting it into the bodice. I think that would be wise, because I have a feeling what happened last time is I had to adjust a lot of my back pleats because they just didn't fit properly. So I think my problem occurred. Where did that happen? Let me think. Yeah, I knew I had to take this out a couple times and adjust some of the pleats. So let's go ahead and just follow the instructions and see if I'm going to leave just one pleat undone, because then if I have to adjust that one pleat, then I'll be able to fix it. Okay, do you see how this pleat right here in this front here has got a little angle here? So what it's trying to tell you is on this back here, see how these fit up underneath here? When you do your pleats, you're actually going to angle that back of that pleat so that it opens. Let me just go ahead and show you that one little spot there. So let me see where we're at on the camera. So here's your middle, okay? So then we've got our first pleat is going to be just like that on both sides. So let me just put a pin here. Okay, so we've got a pin here. Let me put a pin exactly in the same spot on the other side. Well, you can tell just by looking, it's where the cut is on the fabric. So let me open that up. So you're going to angle this pleat this way. You're going to angle that other pleat the opposite way. Okay, so the middle pleats are going to go towards the middle. So we're going to take this and we're going to pleat it this way. See how that fabric wants to go that way anyway? So you're going to line that fabric up and then put the pleat just like that. So now on this other pleat on the opposite side, you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to fold it into that crease of the middle and put that pleat in just like that. And that is going to be what's going to end up going right, being sewed in this angle in the back of your skirt, because it's going to be sewn. I had to sew it like this and then like this, but I'll show you when we get there. Okay, so that is your back pleat on the skirt. Okay, so that's how you're going to do that. You're going to angle it so it comes out, and then it actually fits that just perfectly, just like that. Okay, so pleat number 2 in that back, so same thing. You want to go ahead and line up your, let me put some marks on this side so you can see where the pleats are on this side. It's kind of strange because they're not exactly where the fabric is, and it was a little different First time I've done pleats like this where it wasn't straight across, but you've got that in the back. Okay, so let's do pleat number 2. So I'm going to line my paper up here and put in pins. So here's one pin, here's another one. Okay, now this pleat is going to go towards the center just like the other one did. So put your pleats together and push that fabric to the center. And see how it's going to line up again? If you line those 2 pins up, it's going to line up just perfectly. And it's going to come to a flat fabric, just like that. You see that? And it's going to happen all the way along, same way. Okay, so let's go here. Let's mark this pleat. If you want to just put pins all the way along like we did to the last one, that's fine too. Then you don't have to go back and forth. So let's just do the rest of this one side. Because this one is a little off the... Tell you what, let's do all the pleats, line it up to the bodice, and then if we have to take a couple pleats out, it'd probably be easier that way. I think that's what I did the first time. I just ended up taking out the last 2 pleats and making them a little bit larger so they fit properly on the back of the gown. So that's probably the easiest solution to get this to fit right. Okay, so we got 2 more pins. And all these pleats are angling to the back center. Okay, so we've got those 2, so match up the pins, angle that pleat to the back center of the, I think now I did this one side at a time too, now that I think about it. Okay, so there's that, we'll line that up. And we will put a pin here. Okay, let's take this one out. Just confusing. Okay, line these 2 pins up. Push your pleat to the back. And put a pin in it. Okay, next 2. Line that up, put a pin in it. Okay, 2 more. Okay. Pin it. Okay, line them up, push the pleat to the center, and put a pin in it. I believe this was the one that I fixed last time, the last pleat. Okay, so now we've got the other side pleated. Let's see if it looks nice. Yeah, if you don't think it's going to look nice, make your adjustments now before you sew. If you don't think the pleats are laying properly, you can fix them now. Okay, so maybe if you lay them down, you'll be able to see better. Okay, this one I'm not happy with. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some stitches in here so that I won't have all these pins in the way. So let's go ahead and do a little securing here. I'm going to go to a gathering stitch, so in case I do have to take these out, I don't want to have to mess with a lot of stitches. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to that center.